So we are recording. Good evening and welcome to this evening's session, How to Help Your Student Be Successful Academically, sponsored by the Office of Student Success Services, otherwise known as OS3, at St. Mary's College of Maryland. This evening, I have the privilege of working with my colleague. I'll first introduce myself. I'm Kathy Langen-Pusiker. I'm the Executive Director in OS3 for Student Success. And my colleague?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joanne Goldwater. I'm the Associate Dean for Retention and Student Success here in OS3. Really happy that you're joining us. I've been at the college for about 28 years now. I've worked in residence life, student affairs, and I've been in OS3 since 2016. I also teach our Introduction to Sign Language class in one of our Core P 101 classes. Kathy?
Thanks, Joanne. So like all of our sessions, we try to be very clear about the purpose of our events. This evening, we want to help you and our students who need help by partnering with you. We reached out to you all because you are the people who mean the most to your students. We recognize how very important you are to your students and in their lives, and what you say is more impactful. You might recognize that they are listening to you and your advice, but sometimes because they're young adults, in an effort to grow, sometimes they communicate a strong desire to separate themselves from those who love them. But you see, they're actually still relying on you, and they don't feel that they are growing up to be independent if they don't kind of push you away at the same time. This is a really unique dance for young adults as they emerge into fully adulthood. And we recognize that as you as family members here, you are trying to help them. They are still your children. They are emerging adults. We're going to try and help you this evening reduce some of your stress, reduce some of their stress, and provide you with some resources that you can whisper into their ears. So I just love this picture. Because of COVID, the pandemic, many of us have been riding the struggle bus. Many students are also riding the struggle bus. The struggles vary. They include mental health issues as well as academic challenges. These struggles are still continuing today. The pandemic is still going on. We are entering year 3. Some people are starting to call it an endemic. We want you to recognize through this program tonight that these challenges are really normal. They're becoming more normal. And we are here to help you address them. So Joanne?
Thank you, Kathy. We all know that there's been a lot of loss that has happened because of COVID, as well as other reasons that have hit our society. We've had lots of changes happen in the last 2+ years, right? There's been social and economic inequalities. We've had social justice issues. But COVID has really been an overriding kind of issue for many, many people. Governments, in an effort to slow down the spread of COVID, they have suspended face-to-face teaching in schools. If you would, how about using the chat function, if you are able to, and take a guess how much of this world's student population has been affected by COVID and the closures that we had to do in these last 2 years. What percentage of the world's student population had to have face-to-face learning suspended? Take a guess and put it in the chat if you wouldn't mind. Let's see how we do here. 95. What percentage had face-to-face learning suspended is the question. And we've got one response saying 95%. Anybody else want to take a guess? I suspect that, let's see, Sharon Thomas, you probably read the same information that we read. 100%. Pretty close, Deb. It is, in fact, 95% of the world's student population has been impacted by the loss of face-to-face teaching in schools. That's the largest disruption to education in history, which is absolutely astounding. We've seen that impact at St. Mary's as well. Some of our students have been struggling with their mental health due to the isolation, the online learning that they've experienced for the last 2 years. Some of our students have struggled with their academics because they don't do online learning very well, or they were disrupted because of other stuff going on around their house, or they didn't have reliable internet service, right? And now they're trying to come back to face, and that's a very different feeling than what they've had for the last 2 years. So it's been really challenging for them. Dealing with coming to college alone without any of these other factors is hard enough, but then you layer on that they haven't been in school, a brick and mortar school, for a couple of years, and that makes things really difficult. Trying to make those friends that they need to have when they're in college, but they didn't really have the same experience their last 2 years of high school, or if they were already in college, like some of our students, they were doing their classes from their rooms. They weren't engaging in the classroom. They had a different kind of experience when it came to doing tests, to engaging with people during those 2 years. So it's been really challenging. That separation from family, because it was so intense during the last 2 years, and now the family is maybe a distance away. So that's been a challenge. Some of our students have felt underprepared or unprepared for their college courses. And then some, as a result, are now on academic probation or academic warning. We have first years, sophomores, juniors, and seniors who fall on academic probation and academic warning. So let's look at what the difference is between academic probation and academic warning. Kathy, if you'd move it, thank you. So probation means that a student's cumulative GPA, that's their total GPA, is below a 2.0 on a 4.0 scale. Our goal for students who are on probation is to try to help that student improve their GPA to avoid being dismissed from the college, meaning that they wouldn't be allowed to come back. Then we've got the warning group. The warning group, they're not quite as in a hole as the students on probation. The students who are on probation, their semester GPA is below a 2.0, but their cumulative GPA is still above a 2.0. What we want to do is to help them stop that spiral downward. We want to make sure that they bring that GPA up. And that's what we want to do for both of those groups. It's important that students know that they have to have at least a 2.0 overall cumulative GPA and a 2.0 or better in their major to graduate from St. Mary's. Students are typically allowed to have 1 semester on academic probation before they are dismissed. We don't dismiss students the first semester that they're below a 2.0. But if they don't make good progress to get their GPA up, they might face dismissal. Now, for some of our students, they're going to be on academic probation for more than 1 semester because their GPA is so low, there's no way they can bring it up in just 1 semester. We have some students who earned a 0.00 GPA from the fall semester. It's going to take them several semesters to build up to get across that 2.0 mark. On our next slide, you'll see our probation requirements. Students who are on academic probation are required to do one of these top 3 ideas. One is to enroll in our IDIS 124. That's our Seahawk Academic Improvement and Learning Strategies class that Kathy teaches. Or they have to meet regularly with one of our peer academic success strategies, or PASS specialists, or they have to meet regularly with one of our Office of Student Success Services, or OS3 staff members. And in addition to doing one of those 3 things, they cannot hold a leadership role. They can't be an SGA senator or president, vice president, officer, whatever. They can't be a club leader. They can be a member of a club, but they can't be a club leader because being a leader takes a lot more time. They can't be on varsity teams, and that's an NCAA regulation. That's not just a St. Mary's College regulation. And we also limit them to 17 credits. We don't want them taking too many classes because they really need to focus on those 17 credits so they can improve their GPA. We also know that students need to have that opportunity to blow off some steam, to have some fun, because all work and no play is just no fun. And college, even though they may not be doing as well academically as they want to be doing, they still need to have some fun when they are here with us. So we want to help them have that work-life balance. So we help them develop some of those skills that they need so that they can have some fun, but they also get their work done. We know that stress can be a big issue for our students, and so we want to help deal with that stress. We also know that parents and family members can be stressed because of their students' academic progress. So just to kind of normalize things for you, we have at the present time 52 students who are on academic probation and another 57 students who are on academic warning. This is pretty typical for St. Mary's. Last fall, we had 56 students on academic probation. So we're right about in the same area, the same numbers. Most of the students who use our resources will end up coming off of probation and graduating from St. Mary's, okay? Please keep that in mind. In fact, we have worked with a number of students who ended up going from academic probation to Dean's List within a few semesters. And Dean's List is a 3.5 or better GPA. So if they use the resources, we can help them improve their grades. And that's what it's all about, right? So there are some ideas on the next slide that you could help us with. You could encourage your student. What we'd like you to do is put into the chat, which of these suggestions would you suggest to your student? Would you suggest that they take a course to help them learn how to study and take notes, take tests, manage their time? Would you suggest that they meet with a tutor or a teaching assistant or a peer mentor? Our tutors are students who know and understand and can explain concepts in the class for a specific course. And they help teach that information outside of class. The faculty member teaches in the class, but the tutor will often have recitation or study groups where they will help the students learn the material. Our TAs have already taken the course, they've done well in the course, and they assist the professor with the grading. They hold review sessions, and they can also explain concepts. The peer mentors are knowledgeable guides for students in particular classes. Or maybe you will suggest to your student that they meet with a peer academic coach, the PASS specialist that comes from our office. Or maybe you're going to suggest that the student meet with a professional academic coach, again, in our office. Maybe you're going to suggest that your student seek mental health counseling at our wellness center. You might want to suggest that they meet with their instructors and advisor during their office hours or join study groups. So which of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would you suggest to your student? Or maybe you would suggest all of them. So if you would, it looks like we have study course, that's number 1. The sales course is really helpful and should really be encouraged for most students. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Deb. You are so right. We have found that all of these suggestions really do help our students be successful in their classwork. Study groups can be really good because it's usually a group of 2 to 4 students who are in a class together. They work outside of class together and they share their notes. They help each other learn the material. They test each other. And that's been really helpful for our students. So you might want to suggest that. Our PASS specialists have walk-in hours on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m., no appointment needed, and on Wednesdays from 5 to 7 p.m., again, no appointment needed. But they also meet individually with students on a regular basis. So the students can meet either with no appointment or they can schedule appointments. Likewise, office hours that our faculty will handle, that's time that they set aside every single week by every professor so that students can stop in to get help, to discuss things, get advising, get support, find out information about internships or jobs or graduate school, all that kind of thing. The faculty really engage with the students both inside the classroom and outside the classroom. So that would be helpful for students to make use of those office hours when they have questions. We also have some additional resources that would be helpful for students to help them improve their grades. And it's not just for students who are on academic probation or warning. All of our students can use any of these suggestions. Our Writing and Speaking Center, which is located in the library, can help students make sure that their writing is coherent, that it makes sense, that they have their bibliography lined up correctly. If they have writer's block, they can help them unblock. They can also rehearse and get feedback on any presentations that they have to give in class. Our Wellness Center, which consists of both the physical health side and the mental health side, sees students all the time. They are open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. They have walk-in hours, no appointment necessary, Monday through Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. And then for our D'Souza Brent students, they have a resource that's available to them. Our D'Souza Brent program is a special program for some of our first generation students. So that would be a resource that students could use as well. And I see that we have a comment that peer tutors are helpful for students who aren't comfortable in groups. Exactly right. We have found that sometimes our students respond differently to their peers who are providing that help than from the adults providing the help. I could be sitting here with a peer academic success strategies specialist. We could be reading off the same script, and the student sitting with us is going to hear it differently from that peer than they hear it from me. So we utilize that kind of resource on our campus to help our students. We would also suggest that maybe our students should take a summer school class, maybe at your local community college or the ones that we have on campus. That way they can get caught up on some credits if they need to, or get ahead on credits. We also offer Winterim. That's the short 3-week session that's held between the end of the fall semester and the beginning of the spring semester. That's a great opportunity for students to also get caught up on classes. I will share, though, that if a student takes a class at a community college, they really should submit a pre-approval for transfer credit form before registering and paying for that class at the community college to ensure that the credits that they earn there will transfer here. Hopefully, you've got some good ideas that you can use, but right now, Kathy's going to talk a little bit more about that Seahawk Academic Improvement and Learning Strategies class. It's really useful for our students.
Thanks, Joanne. One other thing I will say about the ideas is that research that's being done on strategies to have as an intervention to help students be successful tell us really pretty clearly now that the more of the activities that we've just listed here that a student avails themselves of, the more likely they are to improve their GPA and improve their GPA more substantially by doing more of these things. So the more the merrier. 1 through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, do all of them. Obviously, a lot of students, they're not going to take that advice, but at least pick a couple of them can be really helpful. So in the Seahawk Academic Improvement and Learning Strategies, I have the privilege of actually teaching this 2-credit class. This is actually grade varying class. We meet 1 time a week, and in the class, students are learning about how people are learning based upon the real science of learning. After they are learning these different strategies, they reflect on the ways that they personally are learning and the strategies that they have been using, what they haven't been using, what they need to change. They reflect on that. They learn also by participating in hands-on activities to practice their time management skills, their study skills, note-taking. We most recently worked on improving their reading, asking for prompts and advocating for themselves so that they can figure out, well, what am I supposed to focus on here? Um, we have brought in people from the Writing Center. Most recently, we brought in one of the resource librarians about how to conduct research, and she stepped them through the process of research and tried to make sure that they understand a librarian is really your friend, can save you a whole lot of time, can help you also narrow down your thesis, find the best kinds of resources, help you think about what you're going to select in the work citation area, what sources you want to use and why, and write the why. So it's a way of kind of annotating the bibliographies. They're really, really helpful. The other thing to tell you about in sales, we have currently, I have 2 peer teaching assistants, and these students also help out with the class. They support the students' learning. They meet one-on-one. We do require, as part of participation grade, one-on-one check-ins. Students in this class are receiving a lot of intentional support. We actually call this sometimes aggressive advising or aggressive interventions. If a student joins this class, they have to be prepared that there's going to be a lot of people following you, making sure you're doing what you need to do. So a lot more support than they're used to. Is it too late to sign up for sales? Well, for this semester it is, but next semester is another semester. It actually lasts for the entire semester. And Joanne just wrote that the past specialists and OS3 staff can also help students learn the same skills. Yes, COVID's been really hard. It really reduced students' understanding of how to learn. It changed their learning. The Zoom learning is not the same as face-to-face learning. So a lot of them are either relearning or learning for the first time how to learn face-to-face, how to work together in groups. St. Mary's College uses a lot of high active learning strategies, which are really great. We know that those are more impactful for students learning. And when you've been isolated on Zoom one-on-one, and maybe the closest contact you got was being put into a Zoom breakout room, not quite the same thing as having to really talk to your peers. So some of them are needing a little more help, a little more support, a lot more practice and feedback. So that is kind of the gist of the sales course. We also, as Joanne pointed out, we do have tutors. I really, really want you to understand smart students use tutors. Harvard University, MIT, you name the school, you can look up tutors at that school, you will find them. What you might find, though, is that you have to pay money for a one-on-one tutor. I was previously at the University of Delaware. I was the director of the Center for Teaching and Assessment of Learning. I can tell you one-on-one tutors were going to cost moms and dads a whole lot more money. They had group tutoring, but it took a while for them to coordinate this. And what you should also know is our office manager works really hard to match students with tutors and times. She's very, very responsive. Often within the week that it's been requested, students are already meeting with their tutors. So I think that that's really kind of remarkable. We do group tutoring as well. Sometimes the supply and demand curve, we end up with so many students who are maybe confused with one topic area. All of a sudden, we will have a stronger demand, and we'll ask them to actually meet together. But it does happen one-on-one. Yeah, and it's free. Free is really nice. There aren't too many things in life that are free. The professional coaches, students can self-schedule with myself, with Joanne, with Mary Dorsey. We also have another academic coach, Colby Nelson. He doesn't use the Calendly app, but we will certainly help students meet with him as well. But we have a lot of availability, and students sometimes come in for a quick meeting. I just want to report back. So we might have entered into a kind of a relationship. Okay, I want you to come in. I want you to show me that you got this done. And, we are their accountability person. They might come in for 15 minutes, half an hour. They might need to work a little longer. An hour meetings, we're hashing out a few things. We're really going to help a student take on some new strategies, practice those strategies. Mary is an expert on note taking, the whole Cornell note taking strategy. So she actually works really closely with a number of students who need that specific help. So wanted you to know about our professional coaches. And I also wanted to, again, normalize the stress that the pandemic has taken on students' mental health. Unfortunately, 44% of students on a recent survey have now reported having symptoms of depression and anxiety. It is pervasive. The Mayo Clinic says 75% of struggling students are really reluctant to ask for help. One of the things that I think our wellness center does amazingly well is help normalize this, and more of our students are asking for help. But we want to make sure that it's good for them to ask, just in case you have a student who's not really comfortable with that. Just in January, survey of 1,700 college students, 70% are reporting emotional stress and anxiety, and they specifically are saying it is due to COVID-19 and or the introduction of now the Delta and Omicron variants. So this is a lot of us have really, really felt like we're again on that struggle bus. There is help. Sometimes putting it out there that we all know that, yes, this is a community. We know this, that the community is struggling. And when the community can identify that, it can help the community support each other. On the first night of orientation, all of the first year students take the St. Mary's Way Pledge, where they learn that they are responsible for each other as members of the community, as well as taking care of themselves. So it's I think, really important that we want you to understand that the community helps each other. And for you all, if you're going to help your students, the drowning man can't go ahead and save the other drowning person. So if you are struggling with mental health, we highly recommend that you reach out to your mental health provider, your family practitioner, ask for help. It is out there. The students also have access to a free app. It's called the MySP App. They can download it. It provides 24/7 access to licensed counselors, and they can get quick counseling. So Wellness Center, Joanne has just told you about their hours, the 8 to 5, the walk-ins from 1 to 3. But what happens on the weekend and what happens after 5 p.m.? Obviously, if it's an emergency, they should call 911. If it's less of an emergency, that you could call, or they could call public safety. But this MySP app is where they can reach people. They can talk about the major stressors going on, get some immediate help, get referrals as well. So we really wanted you to know this is free as well. And our Student Government Association, our students actually, as I said, it's a community. They take care of each other. And the student government voted to allocate their money towards this app. So we wanted to know, what questions might you have that you'd like us to address? I'm going to stop the recording at this point, so your questions would not be recorded for everybody. Sometimes people reveal things that we don't need to reveal for everybody.